Shalom, and welcome back to day 31 of reading the Bible in 52 weeks. Woo. Lord, be present with me today as I encounter the written word. Open my ears to hear the message you have prepared for me. Amen. Let's go. And today we'll be reading Leviticus 14 through 16. The Lord spoke to Moses. This is the law concerning the person afflicted with this skin disease on the day of his cleansing. He is to be brought to the priest, who will go outside the camp and examine him. If the skin disease has disappeared from the afflicted person, the priest will order that 2 live clean birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop be brought for the one who is to be cleansed. Then the priest will order that one of the birds be slaughtered over fresh water in a clay pot. He is to take the live bird together with the cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop, and dip them all into the blood of the bird that was slaughtered over the fresh water. He will then sprinkle the blood 7 times on the one who is to be cleansed from the skin disease. He is to pronounce him clean and release the live bird over the open countryside. The one who is to be cleansed must wash his clothes, shave off his hair, and bathe with water. He is clean. Afterward, he may enter the camp, but he must remain outside his tent for 7 days. He is to shave off all his hair again on the 7th day, his head, his beard, his eyebrows, and the rest of his hair. He is to wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. He is clean. On the 8th day, he must take 2 unblemished male lambs, an unblemished year-old ewe lamb, a grain offering of 6 quarts of fine flour mixed with olive oil, and 1/3 of a quart of olive oil. The priest who performs the cleansing will place the person who is to be cleansed together with these offerings before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The priest is to take 1 male lamb and present it as a guilt offering along with the 1/3 quart of olive oil, and he will present them as a presentation offering before the Lord. He is to slaughter the male lamb at the place in the sanctuary area where the sin offering and burnt offering are slaughtered. For like the sin offering, the guilt offering belongs to the priest. It is especially holy. The priest is to take some of the blood from the guilt offering and put it in the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest will take some of the 1/3 quart of olive oil, pour it into his left palm. The priest will dip his right finger into the oil in his left palm and sprinkle some of the oil with his finger 7 times before the Lord. From the oil remaining in his palm, the priest will put some of the lobe on the right ear of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and one on the big toe of his right foot, on top of the blood of the guilt offering. What is left of the oil in the priest's palm, he is to put on the head of one to be cleansed. In this way, the priest will make an anointment for him before the Lord. The priest is to sacrifice the sin offering and make anointment for the one to be cleansed from the uncleanness. Afterward, he will slaughter the burnt offering. The priest is to offer the burnt offering and the grain offering on the altar. The priest will make anointment for him. He will be clean. But if he is poor and cannot afford these, he is to take 1 male lamb for a guilt offering to be presented in order to make anointment for him, along with 2 quarts of fine flour mixed with olive oil for grain offering, 1/3 of a quart of olive oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, whatever he can afford, one to be sin offering and the other a burnt offering. On the 8th day he is to bring these things for his cleansing to the priest at the entrance to the tent of the meeting before the Lord. The priest will take the male lamb for guilt offering and 1/3 quart of olive oil and present them as a presentation offering before the Lord. After he slaughters the male lamb for the guilt offering, the priest is to take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the right earlobe of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest will pour some of the oil into his left palm. With his right finger, the priest will sprinkle some of the oil in his left palm 7 times before the Lord. The priest will also put some of the oil in his palm on the right earlobe of the one to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the same place as the blood of the guilt offering. What is left of the oil in the priest's palm is to put on the head of the one to be cleansed to make anointment for him before the Lord. He is to then sacrifice one type of what he can afford, either the turtle doves or young pigeons. one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, sacrificing what he can afford together with the grain offering. In this way, the priest will make an ointment before the Lord for the one to be cleansed. This is the law for someone who has a skin disease and cannot afford the cost of cleansing. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "When you enter the land of Canaan that I am giving you as a possession, I place a mildew contamination in the house and the land you possess. The owner of the house is to come and tell the priest, something like mildew contamination has appeared in my house. The priest must order them to clear the house before he enters to examine the contamination, so that nothing in the house becomes unclean. Afterward, the priest will come to examine the house. He will examine it, and if the contamination in the walls of the house consists of green or red indentations that appear to be beneath the surface of the wall, the priest is to go outside the house to its doorway and quarantine the house for 7 days. The priest is to return on the 7th day and examine it. If the contamination has spread on the walls of the house, the priest must order that the stones with the contamination be pulled out and thrown into the unclean place outside the city. He is to have the inside of the house completely scraped and have the plaster that is scraped off dumped in an unclean place outside the city. Then they are to take different stones to replace the former ones and take additional plaster to replaster the house. If the contamination reappears in the house after the stones have been pulled out and after the house has been scraped and replastered, the priest is to come and examine it. If the contamination has spread in the house, it is harmful mildew, the house is unclean. It must be torn down with its stones, its beams, and all its plaster, and taken outside the city to an unclean place. Whoever enters the house during any of the days the priest quarantines will be unclean until evening. Whoever lies down in the house is to wash his clothes, and whoever eats in it is to wash his clothes. But when the priest comes and examines it, if the contamination has not spread in the house after it was replastered, he is to pronounce the house clean because the contamination was disappeared. He is to take 2 birds, cedar wood, a scarlet yarn, and hyssop to purify the house, and he is to slaughter one of the birds over a clay pot containing fresh water. He will take the cedar wood, the hyssop, the scarlet yarn, and the live bird, dip them in the blood of the slaughtered bird and the fresh water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. He will purify the house with the blood of the bird, the fresh water, the live bird, the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet yarn. Then he is to release the live bird in the open countryside outside the city. In this way he will make an ointment for the house, and it will be clean. This is the law for any skin disease or mildew, for a scarlet outbreak, for mildew in clothing or in a house, and for swelling, scab, or spot, to determine when something is unclean or clean. This is the law regarding skin disease and mildew. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when any man has a discharge from his member, he is unclean. This is the uncleanness of his discharge. Whether it's his member secretes the discharge or retains it, he is unclean. All the days that his member secretes or retains anything because of his discharge, he is unclean. Any bed the man with the discharge lies on will be unclean, and any furniture he sits on will be unclean. Anyone who touches his bed is to wash his clothes and bathe with water. He will remain unclean until evening. Whoever sits on furniture that man with the discharge was sitting on is to wash his clothes, be bathed in water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Whoever touches the body of a man with the discharge is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. If the man with the discharge spits on anyone who is clean, he is to wash his clothes, bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Any saddle the man with the discharge rides on will be unclean. Whoever touches anything that was under him will be unclean until evening, and whoever carries such things is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. If the man with the discharge touches anyone without first rinsing his hands in water, the person who has touched is to wash their clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Any clay pot that the man with the discharge touches must be broken, while any wooden utensil is to be rinsed with water. When the man with the discharge has been cured of it, he is to count 7 days for his cleansing, wash his clothes, and bathe his body in fresh water. He will be clean. He must take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons on the 8th day, come before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and give them to the priest. The priest is to sacrifice them, one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. In this way the priest will make an ointment for him before the Lord because of his discharge. When a man has an emission of semen, he is to bathe himself completely with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Any clothing or leather on which there is an and vision of semen is to be washed with water, and it will remain unclean until evening. If a man sleeps with a woman and has an emission of semen, both of them are to bathe with water, and they will remain unclean until evening. When a woman has a discharge, and it consists of blood from her body, she will be unclean because of her period for 7 days. Everyone who touches her will be unclean until evening. Anything she lies on during her menstruation will become unclean, and anything she sits on will become unclean. Everyone who touches her bed is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Everyone who touches any furniture she was sitting on is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. If discharge is on the bed of the furniture she was sitting on, when he touches it, he will be unclean until evening. If a man sleeps with her, and blood from her period gets on him, he will be unclean for 7 days, and every bed he lies on will become unclean. When a woman has a discharge of her blood for many days, though it is not the time of her period, or if she has a discharge beyond her period, she will be unclean all the days of her unclean discharge, as she is during the day of her period. Any bed she lies on during the days of her discharge will be like her bed during menstrual impurity. Any furniture she sits on will be unclean, as in her menstrual period. Everyone who touches them will be unclean. He must wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. When she is cured of her discharge, she is to count 7 days, and after that she will be clean. On the 8th day she must take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and bring them to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest is to sacrifice one as sin offering and the other as burnt offering. In this way the priest will make an ointment for her before the Lord because of her unclean discharge. You must keep the Israelites from their uncleanness, so that they do not die from defiling my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law for someone with discharge: a man who has an emission of semen becoming unclean by it, a woman who is in her menstrual period, anyone who has a discharge, whether male or female, and a man who sleeps with a woman who is unclean. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of 2 of Aaron's sons when they approached the presence of the Lord and died. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell your brother Aaron that he may not come whenever he wants into the holy place behind the curtain in front of the mercy seat on the ark, or else he will die, because I appear in the cloud above the mercy seat." Aaron is to enter the most holy place in his way, with a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for burnt offering. He is to wear a holy linen tunic, and linen undergarments are to be on his body. He is to tie a linen sash around him and wrap his head with a linen turban. These are the holy garments. He must bathe in his body with water before he wears them. He is to take from the Israelite community 2 male goats of sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron will present the bull for his sin of offering and make an ointment for himself and his household. Next he will take the 2 goats and place them before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. After Aaron casts lots for the 2 goats, one of the Lord and the other for the uninhabitable place, he is to present the goat chosen by lot for the Lord and sacrifice it as sin offering. But the goat chosen by lot for an uninhabitable place is to be presented alive before the Lord to make an ointment with it by sending it into the wilderness for an uninhabitable place. When Aaron presents the bull for his sin offering and makes an ointment for himself and his household, he will slaughter the bull for his sin offering, and then he is to take a fire pan full of blazing coals from the altar before the Lord and 2 handfuls of finely ground fragrant incense and bring them inside the curtain. He is to put the incense on the fire before the Lord so that the cloud of incense covers the mercy seat that is over the testimony, or else he will die. He is to take some of the bull's blood and sprinkle it with his finger against the east side of the mercy seat. Then he will sprinkle some of the blood with his finger before the mercy seat 7 times. When he slaughters the male goat for the people's sin offering and brings its blood inside the curtain, he will do the same with its blood as he did with the bull's blood. He is to sprinkle it against the mercy seat and in front of it. He will make an ointment for the most holy place and this way for their sins because of the Israelites' impurities and rebellious acts. He will do this same for the tent of meeting that remains among them, because it is surrounded by their impurities. No one may be in the tent of meeting from the time he enters to make an ointment in the most holy place until he leaves after he has made an ointment for himself, his household, and the whole assembly of Israel. Then he will go out to the altar that is before the Lord and make an ointment for it. He is to take some of the bull's blood and some of its goat's blood and put it on the horns on all sides of the altar. He is to sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times to cleanse and set it apart from the Israelites' impurities. When he has finished making an ointment for the most holy place, the tent of meeting, and the altar, he is to present the live male goat. Aaron will lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the Israelites' iniquities and rebellious acts, all their sins. He is to put them on the goat's head and send it away into the wilderness by the man appointed for the task. The goat will carry all the iniquities into a desolate land, and the man will release it there. Then Aaron is to enter the tent of meeting, take off the linen garments he wore when he entered the most holy place, and leave them there. He will bathe his body with water in a holy place and put on his clothes. Then he must go out and sacrifice his burnt offering and the people's burnt offering. He will make an ointment for himself and for the people. He is to burn the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man who released the goat for an uninhabitable place is to wash his clothes and bathe his body with water. Afterward he may re-enter the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat of the sin offering, whose blood was brought into the most holy place to make an ointment, must be brought outside the camp, and their hide, flesh, and waste burn. The one who burns them is to wash his clothes and bathe him with water. Afterward he may re-enter the camp. This is to be the permanent statute for you. In the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you are to practice self-denial and do no work, both the native and the alien who resides among you. An ointment will be made for you in this day to cleanse you, and you will be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It is the Sabbath of the complete rest for you, and you must practice self-denial. It is permanent statute. The priest who is anointed and ordained to serve as high priest in a place of his father will make an ointment. He will put on his linen garments, the holy garments, and make an ointment for the most holy place. He will make an ointment for the tent and the meeting, and the altar will make an ointment for the priest and all the people of the assembly. This is to be a permanent statute for you, to make an ointment for the Israelites once a year because of all their sin. And all this was done as the Lord commanded Moses. Okay guys, I will see y'all tomorrow for day 32. May y'all have a blessed day.